Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan are two animes that are very similar from what they are broadly about. They are both animes that are about man-eating monsters that are way stronger than normal humans, and the characters that try to survive that and fight them. In Attack on Titan we have the Titans that are just brainlessly programmed to eat humans, and in Demon Slayer we have the, in comparison, normally thinking demons with different demon abilities. But the difference between these two anime is the execution of this base concept that is very similar, and they both went in two different directions, and today we will see and rate which one is the better anime. So we will talk about all the main aspects that define the two anime and then give a final score at the end of the video. So both Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan are very good and popular animes, since they both have high stakes in battles and are willing to let any of the non-main characters die at any moment or face critical injuries like losing an arm or something, so you won't know the outcome before the ending, which makes it very suspenseful, since all your favorite characters could die or be out of the series by injury at any given moment, and both relatively similar exceed at this, which makes them both pretty great. So as I said, the two animes go in two different directions story-wise though. The two are a bit like Minecraft in comparison to Terraria, with Attack on Titan being able to go in a million complex different directions and Minecraft being able to be played in a million different ways, while Demon Slayer is pretty much just going in one straight expected but still very fun line, like Terraria is played in pretty much just one way in comparison to Minecraft. I know, I definitely make the best examples, but normal ones would just be boring anyways. Oh, Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings would have made much more sense for a comparison. So Demon Slayer is a more simple and straightforward anime without much plot twist, and it excels in just being simple fun, and it seems to be trying to just do that. So it's mostly thrilling action fight scenes with just some character feats and background stories here and there, which are still important so that you actually care about the characters in the fights. So with the simplicity, Demon Slayer has much more shallow and just worse writing than Attack on Titan, and it has some simply bad writing choices, like giving characters background stories mid-fight, or only giving demons background stories after they die and not before the fight, where it would actually still matter so that the fight becomes interesting. Also, every demon's reason why they are evil is just because demons are evil and have to eat humans, and because Musen Kibutsuchi, the Demon King, said so, which also isn't too interesting for antagonists. And the list just goes on with plot holes and other writing problems, and if I was an actual Demon Slayer critic, then I would probably list them all, but many viewers of Demon Slayer that just want simple action don't notice these errors too much, so I won't list them. Demon Slayer's characters are also simpler than the characters in Attack on Titan and don't really have that many crazy plot twists, but at least to me they are still very likable, but I guess that's up to opinion. And some of the characters have really cool designs and character traits that I like. Attack on Titan, on the other hand, is more complex and has deeper characters and also obviously character plot twists. It also has wider world building and explains more about the cultures and background stories of the world. And during the main story there are always mysteries like, why are there titans in the walls? Where did the titans originally come from and why do they attack humans? Why are there titan shifters, and what secrets are antagonists like Annie hiding about the outside world? Now to the power system, there's not too much to say about Attack on Titan's power system. It's more thought out than Demon Slayer's power system, and it's explained better. So the most protagonists have swords and ODM gear with which they can swing around in the air, which brings some interesting movement dynamics into the fights, and the Titan shifters on the protagonist and antagonist sides all have unique abilities and or features that makes a diverse set of abilities for the series, and the background of how these Titan powers work and where they come from is also solidly explained through the story of Ymir and the connected creation of the Titans. Now, Demon Slayer has a power system with demons all having unique blood demon arts that can do very many different things, like teleporting up from the ground ability of this one demon here, or changing gravity, or shooting lightning. Now the demons are the part of the power system that works. It's explained how the demons were created, with the first demon, Musan Kibutsuchi, getting a mystical serum that turned him into a demon, and then he created all the other demons by giving them his blood. Now the Demon Slayers on the other side just simply fight with some kind of sun metal swords. They are called Nichiren swords, and they all have different fighting styles or breathing styles that are based on different elements and imitating how they work. For example, water breathing is based on very fluid movements, and thunder breathing is based on putting all of your energy into one leg and then zapping forward like a thunderstroke. And all of these different elements like flame breathing, wind breathing and mist breathing and more, just imitations of the original breathing style, which is sun breathing. But only 2 characters in the whole series can use it, one of which is the main characters. So all of the other characters use different breathing styles than sun breathing, but sun breathing is the strongest breathing style of the strongest one character of Demon Slayer. Now what bugs me about this power system is that the author has stated that the elements aren't actually there. They're just like basically there for decoration, and the characters can't actually just create flames out of nowhere or create stone for stone breathing. What you see on screen is just like illusions that are created from the breathing style that us and the characters in the series can see. And I only know this from watching videos and looking it up, because the anime doesn't really explain this, and the breathing styles do actually have the power to make the Demon Slayers go to their absolute limits in strength and speed in their body, but there's just no explanation what you actually have to do, just like breathe hard, and how Yorichi, the original sun breathing user, came up with the breathing styles. So kind of the point of the elements not being real is how it shows the fighting spirits of the Demon Slayers who created the breathing styles to fight against much stronger demons with actual magical powers. But if I'm honest with myself, if it wasn't there and the Demon Slayers would actually have magical powers, I probably wouldn't have missed that wasn't there, and not ever even thought about that it could be a cool thing that they just fight with sheer willpower instead of magical powers. So it's somewhat cool, but I would have just preferred it if the breathing styles actually did something. And the author only stated pretty late in the manga, in like a side note, that the elements are hallucinations, and this just shows that how exactly the breathing elements work is not actually thought out too much. And that is probably also why it's somewhat inconsistent how this works, because in some cases it does seem like the elements actually do something, but it wouldn't make any sense if they weren't there. For example, Tanjiro stopping his fall with his water breathing wouldn't make any sense if there's no water. And there's also the Demon Slayer ability that is called See-Through World, with which some stronger Demon Slayers can look through their muscles and predict the movements that the enemy will make next. Or with Rengoku's Flame Dragon, it looks like Akaza is also blocking that, and Morichio's Mist obstructing the vision of his enemies is also a useful ability. And there's also Genya's ability to eat demon flesh to regenerate himself, although it's a negative that it's not explained why only he can do it and how that works. So for the power system, I've got to give that point to Attack on Titan, because Demon Slayer's power system doesn't make too much sense if you look into it deeper. But Demon Slayer still has a super fun power system to have the characters create flames and other stuff onto their swords to make stronger sword attacks and the other discast abilities. And most viewers don't notice or think about whether the elements are real or not, so the powers feel real and for a lot of parts actually do real stuff with impact on the fights. So it's definitely flawed but still fun to watch. Now onto the endings. Demon Slayer has a very simple end. It just ends with the defeat of the main villain, which is just where the storyline was expected to go the whole time, or at least I think that's how it ends, because I didn't read the manga yet because I'm anime only and this will only come out in a few years or something like that. So this is just a simple and fun happy end and a satisfying conclusion, so I'm fine with that. That's good. Now for Attack on Titan has a really controversial end, as it ends with the main character Eren Yeager, who turned into a villain in the final season, and he used his Titan powers to try and end the rest of humanity except for his own people, and he was only stopped pretty late into the process when he had already killed 80% of humanity by his friends. And this is kind of like a double-edged sword, because this is kind of a fitting end, because it represents the dark tone of the series well, as Eren Yeager was always somewhat headed towards this goal of killing all of his enemies. In the beginning it was just the Titans, and when he learned that the rest of the world sees his people as monsters, this just changed to eliminating the people as his enemy, and this shows his flaw of always having been a slave to the pursuit of freedom, who never could break free from it and learn from the cruel world that he lived in and the choices he made, that cruelty and attacking is the only way to survive and to move forward. You either fight or die. So the thing that I like about this is that this creates interesting and complex plot twists, and it just takes you emotionally with the story and Eren, because you want to know why he was doomed to end that way, and you want to know what maybe forced him into these horrors, as the world taught him violence, and Ymir also pushed Eren into releasing the Titan rumbling onto the world, and Eren's confusion because he lost track of time because of his ability to see different timelines probably didn't help with that as well. And the thing that I like about this is that it keeps you invested and interested in the story, but the downside of this is that many viewers would have just wished for a happy ending and are unhappy with this dramatic ending, as this means that the death of all the characters throughout the story just didn't achieve really anything, because it just ended in a catastrophe. Or at least that's the point of view of a lot of viewers, because at the end of the story the people did break free from the walls and were safe from extermination, for at least within their lifetimes. But it's still somewhat of a catastrophe, with the end being genocide of others. And Isayama could have just written it that Eren would have used the powers of the founding Titan to end the existence of Titan, but would have just have had to give something up in order to get there, so that this would also have fit to the rest of the tone of the series. And I haven't thought exactly about what he would have to sacrifice. Maybe he would have to sacrifice a loved character or something like that. And there's parts that I like about the original ending, but I would have slightly preferred an ending like this over the original ending. And this actually did happen in the original story as well, that the existence of Titan ended, as Ymir as the founding Titan broke free from her chains to create more Titans. So Eren having the ability to do this is not out of what's realistic in the series. One positive thing about this is that it's just hard and realistic, which stands in contrast to unrealistically happy endings, and can be a good warning that real life isn't always just a fun fiction story with plot armor for you and happy ending, and anything could happen, even if it's bad. A happy ending can also be inspiring, so this is a bit of an argument of preference, but I thought I would mention it anyways. So with the way that the original ending is, this just makes the story worse or bad for a lot of people, and this is definitely just a con argument that this series just isn't for everyone, even though this would be the perfect ending for some people, and some people actually like it and defend it as being the perfect ending. So I guess the story of Attack on Titan was just always going to go there, and it just has many advantages, and this is just an example of its few disadvantages, so overall it's a flawed masterpiece. So my conclusion is both animes are great, with Demon Slayer being focused more on fun action and Attack on Titan having a deeper writing and meaning and being thought-provoking and being focused more on plot twist and character journeys, and its main flaw is basically just the controversial explained. So in the end it's just a question of preference, whether you prefer a simple and fun and light-mooded story or a deeper, suspenseful and thought-provoking story that decides which anime is better for you. So I originally wanted to give Demon Slayer an 8 out of 10, but then I saw this thing with the power system, but I'll still give it a 7.5 out of 10 since I had a lot of fun watching it and didn't really notice the flaws that it had too much when I watched it. But I will rank Attack on Titan a bit higher at 8.5 to 9 out of 10, as it just has much better writing and is very captivating. So which show did you like better? Did you agree or disagree with the points that I made, and do you have other point of arguments that you would like to add? I would love to hear about it in the comments. And that's it for today. Goodbye and have a good one.